Columbus is one of the biggest cities in America without passenger rail. But if railbackers get their way, Amtrak stations could pop up in central Ohio by the turn of the decade. Still, there's a lot of track ahead. The federal government greenlit studies of 4 Amtrak routes crossing through Ohio's major cities in December as part of its corridor identification program. They include new and extended lines from a 3C&D connector between Cleveland, Columbus, Dayton, and Cincinnati to a Midwest connector running through central Ohio from Pittsburgh to Chicago. William Murdoch is the executive director of MORPC, the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission. The council works with nearly 100 governments in and around central Ohio. Murdoch says December was big for the region and the state.
Ohio did very well.
But since the announcement, he and other stakeholders have been getting a lot of questions they don't yet have the answers to. Ohio is in the first phase of the corridor identification program, where it will use $500,000 of federal railroad administration money to chisel out a high-level view of construction and service feasibility.
That will answer those questions that everybody wants to know. How much? How fast will it go? Where will the stations be? What's the exact alignment? So what had been an idea and a planning process is now actually in the federal pipeline.
Murdoch says the study will also identify how to make freight and passenger rail better, simultaneously. It's a long haul. Phase 1 could take anywhere from a year to 3. The state would have to kick in 10% of the funding in the second phase and 20% in the third phase. Initially, Murdoch believes there will be fewer stations in between the major hubs, and the trains won't go faster than cars, so a trek across the state would still take several hours. But Amtrak spokesperson Mark Maglieri says if the train isn't frequent or it's not reliable, it doesn't matter how fast it goes. He argues on Amtrak you can get more done, working, texting, nodding off.
All things you shouldn't do while driving are things you can do safely on an Amtrak train.
Maglieri says he feels the current momentum right now to bring and build out service in Ohio. He wants to feel what he calls stick-to-itiveness.
Because mayors or state legislators or governors come and go.
The earliest we would expect trains to start rolling would be about 2030, and it's 2024, so that's not as far away as it seems.
But the potential project timeline outlasts Governor Mike DeWine's remaining years as governor and even Ohio's next leader's first term. It's not all a waiting game, though. All Aboard Ohio is making its case around the state. Some lawmakers, mostly Democrats, trickled in and out of a breakfast the rail advocacy organization held Wednesday, where they shared results of a recent study by public policy research firm Scioto Analysis. That study says the 3C&D corridor alone could create more than 1,000 jobs and generate between $64 and $66 million statewide. But it's estimated the cost to build the line would be at least $1 billion. Sarah Donaldson, State House News Bureau.